evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Dugout Football Channel. Welcome to the penultimate match preview of the season, and it is going to be a very emotional one as Liverpool take on Aston Villa with the news that Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Naby Keita, James Milner and Roberto Firmino will all be leaving the club at the end of the season. So it's meant to be a very, very interesting game as we take on Unai Emery's Aston Villa. And I've been joined by two fabulous guests from the 1892 Reds TV. It's been a long time, but he is back on the channel, Mr. Ricky Wade. How are you, Ricky?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, can't wait to get into it, talk about Liverpool.
Absolutely. And as well, fresh from celebrating a Sweden victory at Liverpool Eurovision is Mr. Christian Anderson from the Cop-Out podcast. How are you, Christian?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Cheers for having me. Nice to be back. It was a while, so good to be back chatting Liverpool. And yeah, I know that you just been on the Cop-Out podcast with Mick, so I'm looking forward to listen to that as well.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to... speaking of the devil, yes, lads. Hello, Mick. Yes, thank you very much for having me, Mick. It was a pleasure to be on the Cop-Out. Yeah, please do go and give that a listen as well. Hello, Henry. Hope you're good. Hope you're well. And Val Vishwanathan, thanks for everything. Bobby, Milner, Naby and Ox, despite the last two not living up to expectations due to injury, but everyone who plays for Liverpool will always get my support and respect. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely as well. And Luca is in the building as well. Hello, Luca. Yes, so it is official that it is going to be the final games at Anfield for Bobby Firmino, James Milner, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain and Naby Keita. Ricky, it's very sad, isn't it?
Yeah, for 2.5 of them, really. I think Bobby Firmino and James Milner are going to get what they deserve on Saturday. I think Ox deserves a little bit. He obviously done well for us when he played in a massive 6 months for us on the lead up to that Champions League final before he got injured against Roma. That pretty much ended his career really at Liverpool. After that, he never recovered. I wouldn't even roll Naby Keita out Saturday. Just keep him at home. I wouldn't even let him back in the squad. No, I mean, I'd just ban him from training. I'd ban him from the club. Just let him go. He will go down. People tell me about Paul Konchesky and people like that, but for me, Naby Keita, for the value he come for, will go down as Liverpool's worst ever signing. Yeah, I just think he's embarrassing, Naby Keita. There's not enough words for him.
Yeah, I think it's... For the games he was fit, yes, he did play his part and play his non-part as well. But yeah, Milner, Firmino, two fabulous players, Christian. And as well as, I think as well, we'll miss obviously Bobby Firmino's smile, probably the whitest teeth in the squad. But James Milner, I think we have to talk about, because he's going to go down as one of our best ever free transfers, along with obviously Gary Mack and obviously Joe Matip as well. What will you remember from James Milner's time at Liverpool?
First of all, I will remember him coming on, as a 16-year-old, for Leeds, because we're the same age. So I remember being 16 years old myself. Just fucking hell, there's a young lad coming on for Leeds, playing in the Premier League, being the same age as me. I'm running around doing nothing really at that age. So from playing since 2002, that was. Until now, and play at the highest level, even if it's been different clubs, you can't praise him enough. He stayed at that level for all those years, never let any club down. He always been reliable, but since coming to Liverpool as as a free transfer, as you mentioned, from Manchester City, and winning all trophies available, always putting a shift in, putting all the the high levels at the training ground, being a role model for the younger players, experience, can play in different positions, scored some good goals, some penalties that is always pressure to take as well in big games. He will go down as a proper Liverpool legend, and I think it is. I'm quite sure he's actually played his most games for Liverpool in comparison to the other teams that he played for. So for me, it will be emotional for me, personally, when it comes to James Milner and Bobby Firmino and Oxlade a little bit, as Ricky mentioned as well. But them too, it will be hard on Saturday because they've given us everything. They've been two influential players for us. And, I will always love James Milner. He's one of them that, they are not made like him anymore. Like, he's just one of them that maybe not the technical player, maybe doesn't have all the, skills that you look for nowadays when it comes to modern players. But my God, can he just, go in and do a difference for a team that, is fighting for a title or going into like Champions League, quarterfinals, semifinals, whatever. He comes in and plays a role and, does the work. And I understand why Klopp said, he would have liked to work with him longer. Probably would have liked him to stay in Liverpool, but I understand Milner's decision as well. But yeah, he will be a Liverpool legend, and remembered forever, because it's one of them that you just can't praise enough, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. We will be doing a wee section, obviously, on Bobby and Milner as well. We'll be going through our favourite moment, favourite goal as well. We'll get to that very, very shortly. But let's say hello to another few of it. Fine Douglas got live at 9 p.m. Redbirds doesn't even know why isn't Adrian on leaving list. I think he will be. I think there is going to be something coming out. I think he'll be on his way out, Adrian, for sure. Lucas says, yes, ultra good. Big up, lads. Hello, Jack. Hope you're all well. Made up to see you a couple of weeks ago, Christian. We're getting top 4. That's the attitude I like to see. That is the attitude I definitely like to see. Everyone is saying everybody. Lucas says, I say Arthur. It'd be interesting to see if he gets on the pitch. Anyway, hi, Henry. I'm not letting the fact Adrian in on the living Steers thoughts, Henry. John goes massives in. Good riddance, terrible attitude, refused to play multiple times, cost the club a fortune, didn't have the respect to sign an extension, so we could make some money on him. Yeah, absolutely. History books don't lie. Naby Keita scored our quickest Premier League goal ever for Liverpool. Yes, that is very, very true. They've all played a part of the history of the club. Bobby and Millie were ace, played such a pivotal role for the club. Bobby, probably the most important role with his style on the team. Yes, we are all real. Absolutely. I hope that Ox and Naby exposed those medical staff at Liverpool. Never injury prone before, but came to Liverpool, they become injury prone. That could be very interesting to say the very least. Hello, Rich, as well. I think you win every game now. Ox 30 million, Naby 60 million, Firmino 29 million, Milner 3. That's all for business with Liverpool. Loyalty cost us a lot of money there. I think when we look back on it, look, Firmino has played his part. Milner has played his part as well. But yeah, the other two going on a free, we are losing a lot of money. It has to be said. Hello, Niall, as well. Everybody is saying hello to everybody as well. Naby may have scored the quickest goal, but in reality, he's become very rich doing sod all apart from the old appearance here and there. Yes, absolutely. Guys, get the likes up and also do hit that subscribe button as well. But as I did say, this section is all going to be about Roberto Firmino and James Milner. So we will start with Roberto Firmino. Ricky, favourite moment from Roberto Firmino? What is your favourite goal from Firmino?
It's got to be the one that won us the Club World Cup. The first one we ever won, and Bobby scored the winning goal for it. But there's been a few goals. The Arsenal, when he just absolutely annihilated their whole back line by himself. I think he put 3 of them on the floor before he just finished it. For me, he's my favourite player under the whole Klopp era. I don't think you can count Bobby much before Klopp under Brendan, because Brendan tried to play him as a right wing back for some strange reason. And then you really see him come alive. He's going to leave the Premier League as the most goal-scoring Brazilian in the Premier League as well. For me, he goes down as the best Brazilian that's been in the Premier League. People talk about Juninho at Middlesbrough. Coutinho was up there for me as well as one of the best Brazilians, but Firmino, for me, he takes that crown. He'll leave. I think there was a little bit of panic from Liverpool fans if Martinelli played the final 2 games this season that he could overtake Firmino in the goals scored. I think in a season, I believe it is. But no, for me, Bobby's top player. It's going to be. I don't want it to be too sentimental with the weekend because we're still fighting for top 4. So it's going to be very interesting to see what Klopp does with Firmino. I don't think he starts him. I think if we're a couple goals up against Villa, he'll bring him on, I think, the last 10 to 15 minutes. But it's going to be interesting to see what we do because we've got a job to do still. We need the 3 points and we can't be too sentimental with everything at the weekend.
Yeah, 100%. What about you, Christian? Favourite moment from Firmino? Favourite goal?
Oh, there's so many.
109 of them. 109
Yeah,
of them he scored.
but I know he scored a very nice goal against Stoke. The one that Ricky mentioned as well against Arsenal when he just, floored them all and just very ice cold in front of goal. It's a one. And actually one of them now, when where all the rumours were coming up about him leaving this summer when he scored against Man United in, 7-0. I like that, when he came on and scored. That was nice. But also I will remember him like Ricky mentioned, as probably the best, Brazilian in the Premier League ever, but also one of the most influential ones in terms of how he made that role, the false number 9 role, his own in the way of being not, unselfish in terms of getting Salah's goals and Mane's goals, the way he, was like a playmaker in that role as well, knitting it up with the midfield and connecting with the offensive line and all that, and being that little creator in the middle. There's not many players who can just. They are brought in for playing in a kind of position like Ricky mentioned as well. Brendan Rodgers had him on the right wing, both like as a right midfielder and right back as well, and tried to have him as a wing back. Obviously, maybe probably played out of position. But then when he found his role and he just developed and he just became this, creator that we needed in all those games where we won so many games as well, when we won trophies and stuff. So it's another one that will become like a Premier League legend, not only a Liverpool legend, but in terms of, goals, assists, and the way that he's been, obviously providing Salah with loads of assists as well. So he will be one of them you will miss in terms of what he can actually bring to a team. But I would probably say also one of my best memories. To be honest, I can't remember if he even played in the game, but it was I was at Munich away when we won in the Champions League, and the Bobby song was just going, mental outside the ground. He probably played. I can't remember now because obviously I've been on the bevies and everyone was just happy that we won. But just outside, I know there's loads of film clips of it from big. Twitter accounts that have been sharing it and stuff nowadays because of him leaving. But that is a brilliant moment because that song is just continuously going very loud outside Allianz Arena. So that was a great moment to remember.
Yeah, 100%. And Ricky, I think you've got to say 17-18 Firmino was at his best. That 17-18 season, and then going into sort of 18-19, that was the best we've seen from Bobby Firmino.
Double digits, didn't he, in Europe in that year?
Yeah.
For goals and assists. I mean, he's a top professional, top player. What's going to be the icing on the cake is he's going to get a king's reception at the weekend at Anfield while Coutinho is sitting on the Aston Villa bench.
Yeah.
It says it all, really. Klopp told Coutinho that he could leave a hero. They'll build a statue outside Anfield of you, but in fact they're going to build a statue of Bobby Firmino and not Coutinho.
Yeah, exactly. I think you've summed that up pretty well there. My favourite goal, I mean, there's so many. I mean, the first Arsenal goal where he sort of curled it in the top corner. I remember that one. There was one against Swansea where he took it on his chest and then I think it was left-footed, and that was a very, very good strike. But I think the World Club Cup goal, because I think the fact that he scored against in the semi-final as well, and then to be the one that actually won the Club World Cup, I thought that was very, very good, and it was just very, very good finish. Took it down the keeper and just slotted it away. That was probably my best Roberto Firmino. I mean, you can look at the no-look goals.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, the Palace one where he played through first time, he just dinked it over the goalkeeper when we had that horrendous sort of highlighting kit that we had, that yellow/green, whatever it was.
Yeah, but there's been so many. There has been so many, and I think look, what I want the crowd to do on Saturday is sing that "Si Senor" song, because we saw it Leicester. What was it? 12 minutes that was played. I mean, that was just absolutely amazing, and I think it sort of drowned out the really bad chants, obviously, from the Leicester side supporters. But yeah, look, Bobby Firmino, I think it's 369 appearances, 109 goals. I think it's something like 61. He has been an unbelievable player for Liverpool Football Club, and 8 years. I mean, can all thank Brendan Rodgers for signing him, because he, I know he did. I know, obviously, we say that he didn't know what he did to do with him, but if it wasn't for Brendan, we wouldn't have had him. So, same sort of thing as well. We will come into the comments. Get your Firmino moments in the chat, and the Firmino favourite goal as well. Probably not too many for James Milner for goals, but favourite moment from James Milner, Christian?
Oh, that's the thing. It feels like, he's been at Liverpool forever now, and I don't know. I think there's so many moments, so everything just becomes one in a big blur. But I just love when he goes and put his hands up with 6. That's something to tell that we won the 6. And there's also a moment when we win against Barcelona at home 4-0, when he just covers the ball with all his body, at the end, don't want them to get it. Just he would offer his own life, to win a football game, to take it a little bit far. But that's the way he just goes into all challenges, always working hard. So I can't really find any special Milner moment. I just think he's the proper professional that everyone needs in a team. So, I would just remember all that he won all the trophies. And obviously when it comes to goals, he hasn't scored that many, but all the penalties that have been, we need a goal, and they need to be scored. And who steps up? Mr. Reliable, as we call him, obviously, because he never really misses. I can't remember when he missed a penalty. Obviously now he hasn't played for a long time, when taking penalties, Salah has. But, to just know that you got this kind of player who will never let you down. I don't think he ever had a bad game for us. Obviously, there's better and worse, but in terms of just having this high level of performances, he always doing the job, and that's what, to be honest, that's what the least you can actually expect from a professional, to always do the job, which we don't see from all players sometimes. Like this season, we've seen, sloppiness and players not giving it all, in my opinion, but he will always do that. He would, put the... come in and show everybody else how it's done, and that will be my biggest memory of Milner. And obviously to lifting all the trophies, because he is one of them. He's a winner, and he's showing young kids how it's done, and I think that's good for us as well. That he will be this role model, and has been the role model for younger kids to know this is what it takes to stay in the Premier League for so long, to play at the highest level.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, my favourite moment was when he signed, because I had a feeling then that he was going to be a very, very good signing, and then obviously leaves City to win the Champions League. That's the pinnacle of any professional footballer, is to win the Champions League. And Ricky, you got a favourite moment with James Milner?
Yeah, I think there's a few. I think you've got when he absolutely destroyed Neymar on the halfway line in the PSG game, took him clean out. You've got who else did he do? He done the left back, didn't he, in the Real Madrid? He done Benzema, didn't he, in the Real Madrid game?
Yes.
And then he got obviously poleaxed by Casemiro in that game. But you've got him. He scored 9 goals. Was it the 17-18 Champions League campaign? He got 9 assists. Sorry, in that campaign. He also, I think, another good moment for me is a lot of people sort of shit themselves for Van Dijk. Don't tell Van Dijk when he's not playing well. And Man United away, James Milner absolutely blasted Van Dijk on live TV. You see him just ripping him apart, telling him how to defend properly. Again, like holding the ball in the corner in front of Messi when to go through against Barca in the Champions League. He's even come out lately and said that it meant more winning the Premier League title with Liverpool than it did Man City, because, in not so many words, Man City are plastic. Got no fans to celebrate with, really. But I mean, James. I always said James Milner shouldn't be playing for Liverpool in 2023 because of his age and how big this club is. He shouldn't have been nowhere near there. But he's a professional. Fair play to him. He's going Brighton to own that dressing room with Lallana in terms of mentoring the younger players. We see him. He refused to go to, was it the Club World Cup, and he stayed back home and he watched the youth team in the League Cup against Villa that time when we had to play 2 games in 24 hours. But he's a top professional. It just shows levels where there's certain players at the club, some leaving in the summer, and some that are still there that are not fit to lace James Milner's boots, really. But it is what it is.
Yeah, no, he's been one of the fittest athletes. Actually, there is one funny moment I remember. Do you remember the West Ham game? This was obviously the COVID season where I think it was I think it was either the second or third goal, and James Milner's just been substituted, and he's gone off, and he's not happy. He's not happy. He's not happy. And I think Shaqiri comes on at that moment, and, and basically James Milner just looks at Klopp and like, oh, hello, yeah, good choice, Gaffer, good choice. So that's one I can remember, but both of them are going to be very, very well missed, I'll have to say. Milner just for his sort of presence in the dressing room as well. And I mean, people call him boring, but I don't think he is. I think he's been an excellent servant. But let me get into the chat. Rich says, can Real Madrid save football second year in a row? Hopefully. Could say cause a big shock. Who knows? Never forgive Klopp for not starting Naby against Spurs at home last season. The NFT midfield was the real deal. What do you think of the latest? Fantastic, and hopefully it will build them on for next season. Kane also scored in the Club World Cup. Yes, he did as well. PSG for me turned everyone inside out. Yeah, that was the one where he put his eye like that, wasn't it? He celebrated like that.
Last minute goal, that one, wasn't it?
That was a great goal, that one. Rich City cheaters will win. I'm praying I'm wrong. Nate, hello, mate. Firmino was always my favourite Liverpool player. Always thought he played with a certain joy for the game. That is very, very true. Henry says, too many to choose from. The winner to win the World Club Cup. The Arsenal weaving in and out and then scores his dancing. Always pearly whites. Exactly. Good evening, Paul. Hope you are well. Thank you for tuning in, mate. Hope you are good. I would say up there, people will argue Fernandinho, but Firmino is the best false line in Premier League history. 100%. You will be taking your child to a Legends game in the future with Bobby playing, explaining how good he was. Crikey, that actually is very, very true. That is very, very true, and that is quite scary. Quite scary to say the very, very least. Naby's not had many good games when he has played. We should have got rid of a couple of seasons ago, especially with his injury history. Seems he's that. He could get injured anytime, anything. He wanted to leave last summer. We should have sold when he had his best season. Yeah, he would have had more price then by that. Once we're 3-0 up, Bobby and Millie will come on. Yeah, I said that actually on the copy. I said it's going to be very interesting, like Aston Villa game. We'll obviously get onto the Aston Villa side of things very, very shortly. But I do agree. I think if it's like a very, very tight game, I'm not sure Bobby will probably come on. And I'm not sure Millie would come on either. So that could be something to think about. We could have got at least 30 to 35 million, so we wouldn't have lost much, but Klopp's loyalty has brought us here. Our number 9, giving the ball. Yeah, I want every Liverpool fan to sing their hearts out on Saturday. And also as well, I believe Danny Kaye, is it Danny Kaye, the writer? I believe that he'll be getting, I think it's the 7th minute, I think there's going to be a round of applause for him as well. PSG game at home, the winner in the group stage is my favourite, such a pivotal moment. Yeah, 100%. PSG goal up there for me, that was the winner. That will be going for the full 90, 100%. PSG goal was the best. After that, Arsenal sat so many players. Absolutely. Also, we all agree Klopp's loyalty has cost us dearly. We can only hope he gets tougher next season and gets rid of Deadwood as fast as Pep G goes. Yeah, absolutely. Milner 9 assists. Yes, we were talking about that. Taking penalties, super sub, magnificent servant, selfless. Milner, the best one was that Barca game. Is no nonsense with Messi. Second leg, keeping it in the corner. Yeah, that was brilliant. Milner pen against Leicester. That was very, very crucial at the time because that was 1-1. Sadio Mane goes down, penalties given, Klopp can't look, and Milner scored. And you could always rely on James Milner, couldn't you, Christian? Whenever it was from the penalty spot, you could always rely on James Milner.
Yeah, he got, what do you call it, like nerves of, what do you call it, ice? I don't know how you say in English, but, that's the thing. It doesn't seem to bother him. Like, he just knows that even in the, the crucial moments, stepping up, and he just looks, really concentrated, but he knows what he's going to do. And to be honest, there's no chance like for the goalkeeper because it's always perfectly down in the corner or quite high up and hard. And, he's normally going for the corners and there's no point, for the goalie to do anything really. So that's the thing. In those crucial moments, stepping up, he's just got the nerves. I love him. We'll always love him.
Who remembers Firmino Robona flick against Genk? I wish Mane scored that. Yes. he had some back heels as well. The Newcastle one where he basically put Salah in and he scored.
Yeah.
And there was one at Southampton as well. He back heeled that and Salah scored. Honestly, 17-18 Firmino was amazing. Absolutely amazing. Probably one of the best players in the world at that point as well. Sportcat, do you know what? I think it'll be a high-scoring game. I'm going to go 2-2, and I think I could go to extra time. I really do. Question, what's going to be this season Alisson moment? A Gomez for... Oh, crikey, here we go. What's going to be this season Alisson moment? A Gomez first Liverpool goal. That's very, very unlikely. Arthur debut goal. Very unlikely. Naby goal to say F you, Ricky, or Firmino winner.
Naby Keita's a fraud, so he won't be nowhere near the starting lineup on the bench. So yeah,
I don't think he's been seen in the training pictures or anything like that.
Should have sacked him a long time ago, Naby Keita.
Firmino winner. I'm going to go Firmino winner. I think that might be our Alisson moment, hopefully. Christian?
Well, obviously on Saturday, I want it to be, 3-4-0 up and for, James Milner and Bobby Firmino to come on. But if it's, 0-0 and Bobby comes on and score the winner, happy days. I'll take that as well. It's a perfect ending moment for him, to be honest. But, for a perfect day in a perfect match, 3-0 up, and they can both come on when it's 15 minutes, left and give this, a standing ovation and all the song singing and stuff. But it would be nice if it's Firmino actually scoring, even if it's against Southampton, to be honest, because we still got, like Ricky said before, we still got this job to do to try to get the fourth spot and actually get Champions League football. So, but if he scores, brilliant.
Absolutely as well. Graham, I have seen your comments. We have actually spoken about Ox earlier in the show. We had actually spoken about Ox, and we just said injuries have just played a part in him having to leave, unfortunately. And yeah, it is a shame that we didn't get rid of him. We had the chance to. Jungles Master says, "If we like the Simpsons episode where the quarterback takes a field goal kick and his leg falls off if Naby scores." Yeah, I don't think that. To be honest, I don't think Naby Keita is getting another Liverpool game, if I'm being honest. So yeah, we'll speak about Aston Villa now. Ricky, Unai Emery going under the radar slightly, isn't he?
Top manager. Arsenal got rid of him way too early. They've allowed Arteta to do what Emery wanted to do at Arsenal. I think Emery done well in the Champions League with Villarreal when we played them. He's a top coach, and it just shows. I see there's a lot of disrespect on Steven Gerrard as the manager of Aston Villa. I've got a few Villa mates, and they were like he was out of his depth potentially. And they've got a serial winner in the Europa League in Emery come in. I think he's made one change to that whole team Gerrard had, and I think it was the left back. He's brought in, is it Moreno, the left back? He's come in.
Yeah.
He looks a very, very good player. They're scoring goals. Ollie Watkins looks like a breath of fresh air under Emery scoring goals. I think he was on a massive run. They look very good. I think they'll just miss Europe this season. I think there was too many points to claw back for them in terms of the teams above them. But listen, for me, he's one of the best coaches in world football. And if he gets the right recruitment again in the summer, who knows what they can do next season, because a lot of big teams that will lose managers in the future will look to Emery to try and take him off Villa. But I do expect us to beat Villa this week, and I just think we win every game now till the end of the season. The end of the season, there's never not something going on. So top four is going to be going on. The bottom's going to be going on. Obviously, the league title's done now, so it's all about watching European places. And I think 5th and 6th get Europa League now, based on what the teams above them have done in competitions. So it's going to be interesting. But Emery, for me, very top coach, and Villa done well to get hold of him.
Yeah, they absolutely did. I mean, I look at Villa's team, Christian, and you look at like team players like obviously Ollie Watkins has been one of the best players, but Jacob Ramsey is a player that's I think we've kind of been looking and seeing some development from obviously Jacob Ramsey. How impressed have you been with Villa this season since Emery came in?
Yeah, well, they've been one of the best teams in the Premier League, I think. Ricky mentioned Steven Gerrard. He's my hero. He'll always be, a legend. And in terms of being a player, there was no one really near him. But manager, being a manager can be a totally different story, which we saw. Even if he was successful at Rangers, it's also a different level of football. I would say, not being disrespectful to Scottish football there. But it is what it is, and coming to Premier League is not easy. And where Aston Villa is a classical club as well. Got history, good fans, nice stadium, a place where they want to be successful in terms of trying to end quite high in the table. And Steven Gerrard wasn't, he didn't have the skills to make them play that way or being successful. And then he came in, and like Ricky said as well, I think as a manager he's got a great football brain. He knows football. He can get teams together. He's shown that, like he mentioned as well, in Europa League and with Villarreal, and I think he's been in Sevilla as well. Before winning trophies. And I also think that Arsenal maybe, got rid of him a little bit too early. And obviously now it looks good for them with Mikel Arteta, so that's fine. But in terms of being a football manager, I think he's one of the best out there. And I agree with Ricky as well that, if Aston Villa keeps on doing well next season, there might be, bigger clubs and better teams in the Premier League or even, out in Europe that will look at Villa and try to take him off them as well. But I think they're playing good football. They're a hard team to beat. They got good players. But the thing is with Emery is that he's actually, got them all together. He's got this collective team now. They fight together, they play together, and that's the thing. If you get them to play together, it will be a hard team to defeat. So I still think that we will do the job on Saturday because it's home. It's the last home game of the season. We got players that are going to leave. The atmosphere will be brilliant. I think we'll do it, but it will be tough, and we can't, take it for granted. But in terms of Aston Villa, they've been great since he came in, and I think they will continue to do good next season. Obviously, depending on recruitment in terms of players as well and what they can get. But if they can, reach Europe next season, that's something that I think they might go for. So yeah.
Yeah, no, they've got a fabulous squad, and I've got to say, I watched them against Newcastle United, and they were very, very good that day. As well, Alex Moreno going down that left-hand side was very, 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 very good. I think not many people give Kieran Trippier a hard time, but I've got to tell you, Alex Moreno did give Trippier a very, very hard time. So obviously moving sort of on to obviously us. Ricky, the resurgence of Curtis Jones, what have you made of him recently?
Oh, I had an absolute shocker. Watching the game, we was on a Discord party. I think it was me, Jack, Luke, and watching the game, and I was like, get Curtis Jones off. Like, the geezer come and put a string of 2 passes together. 2 minutes later, he scores his first. And then, 2 minutes later, he scores the absolute worldie of a goal. So I was like, oh, mate, what have I done? And, Jack's a scarce, isn't he? So having me right up in the chat, but I mean, I still am not buying this Curtis Jones has saved Liverpool millions in the transfer market. I'm not having it. Curtis Jones is a good player, but he won't win you a Premier League. We need the next level up. It'd be great to have it as a squad option. He's done well for 6 or 7 games, but we need to see more from Curtis Jones. He's picked up a few injury problems here and there. We need him to stay fit. I still agree with we have changed Curtis Jones's footballing mentality, ability from what he naturally is. He's a natural left winger when he was there for the under-23, scoring goals, assisting. We're trying to turn him into the Gini Wijnaldum role in midfield. It looks like it's clicking now with that sort of transition into that. He looks good in the new formation change, if you want to call it that, with Trent coming to midfield. It allows Curtis Jones to get further forward and do more with the ball. But I like Curtis Jones at the minute. I think he's doing very well. But that shouldn't stop Liverpool from going in the summer in the transfer market, bringing McAllister in, bringing a few other decent midfielders in to go to the next level, because if we want to challenge for everything next season, you need a good squad. You look at Curtis Jones and then you look what's on the bench after him, there's not much there. So, listen, long may it continue. He's a local lad. He fills that English quota on the record so that we don't lose that many in the summer, because obviously Ox is going and Milner's going. So he needs to stay. There's people calling for him to be sold. I want him because you need him, because he's homegrown. But yeah, I want to see more from him. We don't score a lot of goals from midfield, and I think he's starting to score the goals in midfield. So long may it continue, really.
Yeah, 100%. As someone who is really, really flourishing in the midfield role, Christian, Trent Alexander Arnold, I mean, you can't take anything away from the free kick that he scored. It's an absolutely wonderful finish. But I think if I read 8 goals and assists in his last sort of 7 games. Where has this come from?
I just, think that with the new role that he plays, to have a more freedom to be directing the game with his passes. And I think, his self-confidence is back. And also the whole team is better, together. Everyone talked about Trent being really bad in this, early this season. Van Dijk was bad. Midfield was bad in general. But everyone has actually stepped up. And I think, that helps massively, because it's a collective self-confidence as well. But, when he got this freedom to actually go and be more involved in the game, and we got this new system, if you like, I just think, I don't know. For him, it's just the way that he wants to play football. And I think when you get that freedom and you can actually know that you can impact the game in the way that he does, it just comes naturally. And we know that he's a top talent with top qualities. He's shown that before in that right wing. It's, him and Robertson has the most assists from, wing backs in the history of the Premier League. So we already know that he can provide, for goals, that he can play the game, that he's creative. But now when he comes into this, midfield central role and can provide all the, the passes and the balls that he plays as a playmaker, he's unbelievable. And I think I tweeted something about, obviously I don't compare them in that way, but if you actually had, him playing still as a wing back, because he needs to come down and defend, even if we've got Konate there, he's a big fucking lad, he's doing a great job and he will be massive for us as well. But, he needs to come back, he needs to defend, he still needs to do that job. But at the same time, when we go offensively, he comes into that central role and he's a playmaker as good as anyone, really, with his passes, finding it, behind the defensive lines and providing assists. And you would never see Kevin De Bruyne playing a right back defending as he does. So, he does a double job, even if he got, great help from Konate and Van Dijk, but he still has this quality. So hopefully he can continue this in this way and develop even more and, become someone that we can, even if we continue to play in this formation, or if he actually goes into midfield next season in some games, depending on who we play and if it's home or away, we don't know. But if we continue to do this and he continue to provide those assists and actually score goals like against Leicester and coming up further up the pitch to be able to come in those positions where he can actually shoot, because he has a great foot, he's something different. He's still only like 25. So you look at someone who can actually do the Kevin De Bruyne role in one way for Liverpool, but also being a very creative right back at the same time. So, he's one of them that, you can't write him off. He's showing everyone now that, we're doubting him at the start of the season, saying, and obviously everyone was out of form, but looking at him now, he's one of the best in the league when it comes to, playmaking and, creating chances. His right foot is magical. So, nothing more to say than just, I love that he's back. That's the thing. We need him to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually said this as well on the copy, Ricky. Mo Salah, 3 assists, hat-trick of assists against Leicester, and yet he's not even up for the Player of the Season. He's got better numbers than Marcus Rashford has, and he's up for the Player of the Season. So, do you think Mo Salah's disrespected?
Massively in the Premier League. Some shots I see players that are better than Mo Salah make me cry. Some people's football knowledge is not the best out there when they name some of these names, but they base Mo Salah off Liverpool. Liverpool this season have been horrific for most parts. So they're basing his performances off of that. Saka, for me, he hasn't got more goals, or he's got he hasn't got more assists than Salah, but gets in team of the season because Arsenal fighting for the league.
Yeah.
Rashford, they still think is a top prospect. They still think he's 21, 20 years old. He's 27, 28 years old now, Rashford, and they're still treating him as a kid. All right, he done well for the first, 9 to 10 months?
Yeah.
I'm sure he hasn't scored three goals in the last 3 months, somewhere I read. Whether that's true or not, 3 Premier League goals in the last 3 months. So for him to get in the team of the year is a joke. Mo Salah's the most disrespected player in the Premier League. He gets hacked down every game. I know he's a bit dramatic when he gets fouled, but there's still fouls.
Yeah.
And I think this season, compared to other seasons, it's not the best one for him, but he's close to his second highest scoring record for Liverpool in this season. So, I mean, listen, these players you shouldn't be offended if you're not in team of the year. You know you're respected by your own fans. You know you're respected by the person that picked you to start in the 11. I've been very critical of Mo Salah when he got that 350 grand a week pay rise. Didn't see enough of him, but then you got to understand it is a formation change. He stays a lot wider nowadays than what he did before, getting in behind, coming in centrally. But again, you've got to look at Klopp has recently come out and said that the formation change wasn't supposed to be done till next season.
Yeah.
Because this season's pretty much been a write-off for most of it. They've adjusted it recently, like the last, 5-6 games. They've done it now so that they can get the players used to it to go all out again next season. You just bring the players in you want to bring in the summer to get into that formation change. He said Trent will be centre midfield next season as one of them in that change. I think we do get a right back in. There's been reports about it's going to be Timber. But it's going to be very interesting. I just think Mo Salah next season will go again. And listen, we'll be back up there. We're not too far away from challenging Man City, I don't think. I just think you need 1 or 2 or 3 to come in. And then we'll go again. As much as we're not in the... If we do miss top 4, I'd rather the Europa League, purely because you get more rest. But Liverpool are based off a team where they need to play a lot to get rhythm. And the more they play, the more rhythm they get. So who knows? And the final's in Dublin, isn't it? So it'll be just a massive party over there if we get to the final of the Europa League.
I think so, absolutely. Yeah, Dublin. Big Liverpool fan base out there, so they're 100%. Velvet Sean says, Naby Keita Premier League trophy, hold that, Vicky. Henry says, got to go and do the rounds, enjoy the rest of your stream, thank you. Indian Scouse is on, hello mate, hope you're good. We'll talk about the other 2 favourite goals. Ox screaming against City, that's a good one. Kate against Athletic Madrid and Chelsea, yeah. 2 good goals. Paul Dennison says, Mings has played well since Emery's taken over. Yeah, he has actually. Douglas, I'm afraid for this summer, the fact that we're getting a yes man as sporting director shows Klopp is taking charge and his talent ID is poor. We don't want a Premier League or a Europa Champions League next season that he leaves. Off the ball movement is very key. The reasons they've always defend Jones, Keita, and Ox is off the ball movement, drawing defenders and finding open spaces and other spaces for our wingers to exploit. If an offer comes for Thiago, then I'll happily sell him. Time to move on 10 injuries away from overtaking Naby madness. Yeah. Still issues in the system. His defense, especially, still not comfortable. Canal is amazing, but defender is on the ball. He's poor in the system. He's good on the ball. Also, Robertson, even though he's slightly improved, but please stay at left centre back. No need to bomb forward 24/7. Get season ticket. Yeah. Someone's great goals this however, standards he's had an okay season. Still need to bear, especially with cup competition when you need clutch moments. But this is the thing: if Mo Salah scores or assists in the next 2 games, he will have 20 goals plus 10 assists for the 3rd consecutive season. Only him and Thierry Henry have done it. So no one's done it in 3 seasons. So that's quite something to go about. Anyway, but we'll speak about starting 11s. I think this is quite easy, Christian. What would your starting 11 be? Would you change anything?
No, I wouldn't. To be honest, I think what we saw against Leicester was great for the majority of the game, and obviously that's a self confidence boost for Curtis Jones, like Ricky mentioned as well. I'm a fan of him, even though I understand I've been doubting his abilities to play you know regularly for Liverpool Football Club at the highest level, but I'm very patient as a supporter as well. Naby Keita is gone for me. I was patient with him as well, but that's as much as it take for me to be like, nah, it's over. But with Curtis Jones, it's not only because he's a local lad. Everyone. I have people, on Twitter, saying to me, I'm defending him because he's from Liverpool and all that, and I'm very emotional in kind of history, local lads, bringing them up. But at the same time, he's got the abilities, and he had bad luck with injuries. But I think, he's still very young. If he can continue on this road now that he's on and actually continue to develop, I don't say that he should start. I agree with Rickard. It doesn't mean that Liverpool shouldn't go out and spend, for top level midfielders and players that come in and help us to become better. But at the same time, Oxlade is leaving. Curtis will kind of take his place, and he's a better option. So if he starts games and provides what he's done the last couple of 6-7 games or whatever he has played, that's brilliant. But if he's on the bench and we have other midfielders that can provide loads as well, it's good for rotation. Whatever, we know that we can replace players with good players like Curtis Jones. But I'm happy if he continues to develop and actually continue to start. That's great. But we know that we need broad quality. Even if we wouldn't play Champions League next season, we're still going to be in Europe. We need to be able to rotate, and we need to always have quality coming in. And with Naby Keita always been injured, like someone mentioned, Thiago, he's a favourite, but he's always injured. So I think that's good. So in terms of the game on Saturday, I would still like Curtis Jones to start, obviously because he had his impact against Leicester. And if you play good like that, scoring goals, don't take him out of the team, because players thrive on the self confidence and the belief from the manager. And I like the Klopp actually, have believed in him and let him play and make him feel better. And he comes into this Wijnaldum midfield role with pace, energy, runs up and down. So I think that's great. But then I wouldn't change anything else. I think what we've seen lately, even with Gakpo playing in that role, he's starting to become better and better. Even if he don't score all the time, he's one of them who can do the actually Firmino role in a really good way already. So if he continues to develop in that role and can play that role with his strength and physicality, that's really good as well. So I would just go with the same team. And obviously, if we need to change something, we got the quality on the bench nowadays that we haven't had for a while because of the injuries of Jota and Diaz earlier this season. So there's loads of options. But at the last game of the season, hopefully, like I said before, we are a few goals up and we can bring on the players that are leaving, especially Milner and Firmino, obviously. But no change for me.
Ricky?
Yeah, I'd make one change. I'd bring Núñez, if he's fit, in for Diaz. I think Diaz was very poor against Leicester. Listen, he's been out for a humongous amount of time this season. So he's still getting back to the ways we're playing, getting back to full fitness. Obviously, he's a bit rusty still. But I'd bring him out, and if Núñez is fit, I'd go with Núñez in. Because we need to see really what Núñez is about. He's come under heavy criticism. I love Núñez. I think he's going to be a great player for us. Once he settles down and calms down a little bit, he'll be a top player. I think his best position is down the middle, but obviously the way we play with that sort of false 9 role in Gakpo, it's hard to where Núñez fits in terms of that. But yeah, listen, we've got 2 games left. I'd play Núñez in both games just to get him a bit of rhythm, get him familiar with this new tactical formation that we're playing. And obviously, if it's not going well, you've still got Diaz on the bench to bring on. You've got Jota to come on. But yeah, that'd be the only change I'd make, would be Diaz for Núñez.
Yeah, I've got a feeling you'll go with the same team, but I agree with you to the extent of Diaz. I didn't think he was great against Leicester, but again, he has been out for a wee while, and I think the one thing that Klopp's doing with obviously Jota, he's sort of easing him back, and I think he's easing sort of back with Diaz as well. But I think next season, I think you'll probably see probably Diaz probably being the sort of the first choice on the left wing, and then I think probably Gakpo and probably Salah. But
do you know? I don't think that's it. I think Klopp's favourite front three when everyone's fit will be Núñez down the middle, Diaz and Salah. I think that is the three he wanted to go with. It's just because Gakpo's all of a sudden turned into prime Bobby Firmino in that nine role. So it's for a bit of a spanner in the works, but it is Núñez, Diaz and Salah the three that he want to start every game.
Yeah, and I think also when it comes to Núñez, I think he kind of, wants to take like pressure off him, because obviously coming for the money, coming from Benfica, scoring loads of goals, everyone talking about him, comparing him with Haaland, and obviously he started well. He scored a few goals. He's scored brilliant goals for us, but then he had a period where he didn't score, and people were talking about him being, a flop. And I would say, he's still. I think Mick said, if you cook it down to the minutes he's been on the pitch, I think it's like 26 games and he scored 15 goals and 4 assists or something like that. That's brilliant for someone who hasn't played that much and been out of the left. And I agree with Ricky. I would like to see Darwin playing, central. I think that's his position. That he's a goal scorer. If you look at the goals he scored for Benfica, even though it's the Portuguese league, and I know the Premier League is a higher level, but they are brilliant goals. Some people say he's not obviously having the quality to finish it off perfectly in front of goal and stuff, and I think that's just because of the pressure. He's still a young kid, not speaking the language, coming into a new country, without his family. He's been out saying that himself. Just recently, the other day, when there was a film clip about him, he's telling all this stuff. And some people, it takes a little bit, longer time, but he's still having a better first season where a team like Liverpool haven't clicked, like Klopp have said as well. But he still scored more goals in his first season than Suarez, than Mane, when he's been in and out of the team. So I think, also next season and, time to come, he will be brilliant for us in terms of the way he plays and also goal scoring. I think he will score quite, at least 20, 25 plus every season if he can play in that role. So I agree with Ricky. If he's fit and we play next season with Diaz, Núñez and Salah, that would be, for any team to defend against, that would be fucking madness for them, because they all, especially with Diaz and Núñez being, South American, where they're mental, they just fucking go. So I look forward to that, but I think that he doesn't play him that much now. Well, he has played him and bringing him on, but just to, ease him in a bit, like you said, Doug, as well, just to take pressure off him and don't, put this stress on him. And I think that he's been better coming in from the bench. He feels more relaxed. And then with a proper pre-season and having his first season done in England and still have done well, I think he can just go again. And especially with, hopefully, the other players that he has around him fit, so it could provide him more, even Trent in that role in midfield, Diaz and Salah on the sides of him, who can provide balls as well, and other midfielders like Ricky mentioned. If we buy, for example, McAllister has a great foot and all that, there will be more players that could provide him with great assists. And if he runs into those positions with his pace and he got the physicality as well, I think there would be no problem. He will score goals for us and continue to do so.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. The other one says, Adrian, no chance. Trent, Canati, Van Dijk, Robertson, Ox, Keita, Arthur, Milner, Salah, Firmino. Bloody hell. That's... I don't get what
happened. It will be 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 substitutions after 10 minutes because of injury, I think. Keita, Ox, Arthur... I don't know. Maybe Adrian, I don't know. He's not that injured. Obviously, he's not playing because of Alisson. But at least 3 injuries after 10, 15 minutes that we need to do. Sorry,
yeah,
I don't agree with that.
No, I don't agree with that. I agree, Chris. Next season, Klopp will need to manage current injury-prone players. I don't want to see get commentary on Luton next season. Honestly, it's just mad thinking that Luton Town could be a Premier League team. Kenilworth Road is 10,000. I think that's 1,179 less than Bournemouth.
They've been told they've got to spend 10 mil in the summer if they come up on their stadium.
Oh, really? Right.
Yeah. Premier League have told them they need to sort their stadium.
They need to have a bigger to actually be able to play, because that happened before, hasn't it?
The way you get into the stadium, you've got to go through someone's house, and
I've heard stories about that as well. There's even like a Swedish journalist who's, he's quite he's very famous in Sweden. He does this podcast about stuff, and he was talking about, I think it was obviously Luton, and talking about being there, and he said the same thing, that you need to go to the ground. You can actually access the ground going through someone's backyard and stuff like that. And I was like, what the fuck? But it's I like it, but it's fun that you mention it as well. And I heard it from a Swedish journalist that been there, so it's probably true then.
Yes, I believe so. Hello, Ryan, as well. Hope you are well, my friend. Right, before we do go, match prediction. I'll start this one. I think because it's the final day, we're wearing the new kit. We're saying bye to obviously a couple of players as well. I think confidence would be in the camp, and I think if Brighton were to get something at Newcastle tomorrow, I think it would completely make the players more and more confident. I'm going to go 3-0 Liverpool for Saturday. Ricky?
2-0/2-1. I think we win. Can't underestimate them. Villa are a good team.
I'm actually quite confident now. I was going for 3-0 as well, Dog, so I go with that as the same as you. I think at the moment we're in a good, we're in a good mindset. We got self-confidence after the last couple of games. We're in a position where we're actually fighting for a Champions League spot. Obviously, it's not up to us, but we just need to do the job. But I think that's something that we play good when we got, even if we've got the pressure. But like you said, if Brighton get something from Newcastle, there will be murder, I guess. That's the thing. I hope we just go out, because it's the last game, like I mentioned before. We got this emotional parts of it as well. I think they just want to go out and end it in the best way they can at home, and actually have the hopes for the last game of the season against Southampton away, and know that it's still possible. If it happens, it will. Even if it was a shit season in majority, if we get the Champions League football, Everton goes down, and actually Man United lose the Champions League spot, it will be a fucking 5+ season for me. That's the thing.
I know it'll be very, very interesting. Actually, there is one thing I want to speak about, because it was actually broken just before obviously we came on. The news is that Ivan Toney has been banned from all football activities, starting from now for 8 months until January 16th, 2024. Ricky, I mean, I've got to be honest. I saw maybe 6-month ban. I didn't see 8. That's going to really affect Brentford, doesn't it?
I've seen a lot of people compare the Rio Ferdinand 9 months drug ban. A lot of people don't understand how serious betting is in terms of football. It's a massively serious offence to bet while you're a football player. Because I'm not saying there's reasons. You've got match fixing, you've got a host of a load of reasons why betting is so bad in terms of footballers doing it. So I'm not shocked. I mean, 231 offences it was, apparently. Yeah. So I'm not shocked at all that he got 8 months. It could have been more. They've made an example out of him, because it's a serious issue. You can't be doing. Listen, Daniel Sturridge done it. He got a 6-month ban. Daniel Sturridge.
Yeah.
And obviously the Toney one's a lot worse. So listen, how stupid do you have to be to do this anyway? I mean, you're going to miss majority of the season. Who knows? Brentford could be near the bottom 3 when he comes back in January, because then they're going to have to go spend a lot of money on a striker to come in the summer to cover the loss of him. You then got, I believe, the Euros next summer. He will miss that, because who's going to pick someone who hasn't played all season? Because he can't train with Brentford. He's banned from all football. So unless he's doing an individual training regime, he's not going to be fit to go to the Euros, because you're not going to take him off for 4 months, 5 months in the back of the Premier League. What waste of talent for me.
Yeah. It's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And Christian, it just baffles me what goes through people's heads. Like, betting is one of the worst things to do in football. But Ivan Toney's had a pretty good season, and now he's going to be missing, well, is it 6 months of the season?
Yeah, and I just agree with what Ricky said there. I don't know what goes on in your mind when you play professional football and you do that anyway, that you don't understand, the seriousness of it, but you still do it, and you know that you can get caught, and now he's been caught, and it's been, having his this 8 months ban, which obviously affects not only Brentford, it affects his, England career, as Ricky said as well. It's just stupid. I don't know why you do it if in this profession and, at that high level, or I guess it doesn't matter, as long as you're playing a pro, I guess, you can't do it, obviously. But it's just mad. And I don't understand, that you actually go and do it, because obviously if you get caught, it will hit you massively. So it is what it is. It's sad, but obviously it's not a Liverpool player, so I'm just happy it's not affecting us.
That is very, very true.
Have you seen,
but guys?
Before we finish, have you seen Dominic Lynch has said the investment into the Anfield Road stand has cost Liverpool one player per summer? Because of the way the deal was financed for the stand, it's cost us one player per summer. Don't get me started on FSG. Quick, end the show.
That is mental. Guys, thank you very much for watching. It's been a very, very good show. And big thank you to Ricky and Christian for coming on. Ricky, tell the people where they can find you.
1892 Reds TV. I believe we're doing a show tomorrow for the Villa preview. We got loads of shorts out. Luke's been banging them out. And yeah, next season we're going to do a lot more watch-alongs. And then we probably won't have a channel, because you don't want me doing a watch-along. I absolutely lose it. But yeah, come and check us out over there. And yeah, hopefully we get the win on Saturday.
Absolutely. And Christian, tell the people where they can find you. And thank you very much for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me. I'm happy to come on whenever you ask, Doug, and when I can, obviously, when it comes in terms of family responsibilities. But yeah, obviously you can see the Twitter name down there at KAnderson86LFC, but also obviously at the Cop-Eyed Podcast together with Mick Moran, that I do two shows every week if we can, trying to get it all together, match a preview review. I've been doing it for a season now with him, and obviously he's been in Sweden for a live show. I've been over in Liverpool a few times. We've done shows in pubs and stuff, and actually become really good mates, just meeting over Twitter and interacting with each other, and met each other a couple of times now, so going well, which is fun. So yeah, check that channel out if you haven't, and listen to our shows. That's appreciated, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. No, please go and check out the 1892 Reds TV. Their link is in the description, as is the Cop-Eyed Podcast. I know they don't do much as YouTube now, but it's audio only at this moment in time. And I was on there as well. Do check out the latest episode as well. But it's going to be a very emotional day on Saturday. We obviously say goodbye to a couple of players, but job is in hand. We need to get those 3 points against Aston Villa to put more pressure on the top four. Could Brian get something at Newcastle? Oh, and finally, Hala Madrid. Good night.